Hey you guys, and welcome back. So for today's video, I have been meaning to do this video for a long time, ever since I did the previous video on this series, which if you are new here, we are starting a top 10 favorites series. I already have one in this series and it is my top 10 favorite blushes. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you check it out. I'll have it linked up here at the top. But for today's video, we will be talking about all my top 10 favorite foundations. And as you know, foundations are essential. They are the foundation of your whole look. That's how, that's the base. That's where we start. If your foundation doesn't look good, your whole makeup is not gonna look good. So that being said, I am here today to tell you all of my top 10 favorite foundations. We are covering all aspects. We have mattes, we have glow, we have full coverage, we have medium coverage, we have high-end, and we have affordable drugstore. So we are covering all the bases today, okay? So let's just go ahead and jump on into the video. So I'm not starting in any rhyme or reason or any order of ranking or anything like that. I am just going to pick at what is the first one in front of me. And that's just because I love all of these. There's not one that I love more than the other. I mean, there might be a couple, but for the most part, I love these foundations. So let's start. And the first one in front of me is the Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation. I love this foundation. I am using it today. This is my foundation that I layer with just about every single foundation. The fact that it's in a stick just gives it extra points because I love that it's super messy free. It's easy to pack. It's little, it takes up hardly any space in your makeup bag if you're going somewhere or whatever. It's just, packaging is so cute. Secondly, the coverage is really, really good on this. I use this underneath almost every single foundation. This is the first step of foundation usually. I applied this on any problematic area, any dark spots, anywhere that I need a little bit more extra coverage, but the coverage is great. It's a little bit on the thicker side. I mean, obviously it's a stick, but it's not too thick. It's not too heavy, it doesn't feel icky on your face. I am in the shade Warm Ivory, and then I also use Golden Tan when I am super tan. So yeah, love this foundation. Next, I have a drugstore foundation, and it is the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation. I am in the shade number 6, which is Sand Beige, and it's really the perfect foundation shade for me. This has really good coverage. I mean, hello, it is called Conceal and Perfect. Super affordable. Milani is one of my favorite drugstore brands, so you really can't go wrong with it. It stays on really well. I really love the packaging. It has a little pump, which I love a good pump. I love any foundation packaging that makes it as least messy as possible, because foundation can get really messy. So this is a medium to full coverage foundation. It is definitely lightweight, long wearing, water resistant. So those are all things that you want in a foundation. I don't know about the water resistant, but it is long wearing, it is lightweight, and it is medium to full coverage, but it definitely gives me full coverage. The next foundation I have is the McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation, which is a mouthful in itself, but I really, really love this foundation. I talked about it, I believe, on my Instagram before, and I haven't met anybody who I've recommended this to that didn't really, really love it. And first off, packaging, how freaking cute. It just goes with my whole black and gold aesthetic, which I love. It has a pump, which, you know, kudo points on that as well. Now for the actual consistency of the foundation, it is full coverage, but it is also lightweight. So the formula itself is more on the liquidy side, so it doesn't feel like you have anything on your face, which is amazing, because if it feels like you have a ton of stuff on your face just from the foundation, can you imagine what it's gonna feel like at the end of your makeup when you have everything on there? So a foundation that feels like you have nothing on your face is a really good thing, okay? And it has the most beautiful coverage. It literally makes my skin look perfect, but it looks like there's nothing on my skin. It literally just looks like your skin, but a gazillion times better. My skin really absorbs this really well, and it just has the most beautiful finish. And then when I mix it with a bunch of different products, it just it works. It really, really works. And I'm in the shade Medium 15, which is spot on for me. I love it. It wears all day long. I remember I was doing a little photo shoot for my friend's clothing line, and it was, I mean, I'm telling you, we had been outside for hours and we were changing in the car, so many things for it to get messy and wipe off and whatever, and it didn't. It stayed all day long, 12 plus hours. It has really good longevity. It is very pricey. It's one of those that are like, I think like 60 plus, but it's worth it because a little goes a really, really long way. So I usually only use like a pump and it covers my entire face. If I need more coverage, then I'll go in with a little bit more. The next foundation I want to talk about is the Morphe 2 foundation. They came out with like a whole new line called Morphe 2, which is like a more natural line. And I really, really love this foundation. I used it a ton in the summertime. It was so perfect. I remember I took it to a trip to Florida to see my family, and I mean, like I was obsessed. I got so many compliments from people. I went for my cousin's, was it a baby shower? Yeah, I went for my cousin's baby shower and I got non-stop compliments when I wore this. So I really like it. It is called Hint Skin Tint, which it's like a really lightweight foundation. So similar to the McGrath foundation in the sense of the consistency. It is very liquidy. I mean, hence like it's like a dropper. So you can see it's like literally like liquid. You would think it would be soup, like the coverage wouldn't really be there, but it is like borderline full coverage. Like the coverage is amazing on this thing and it's so lightweight. This would be a really good dupe, I would say, for the McGrath because they kind of give me similar vibes. It is really good coverage. It's really lightweight, feels like you have nothing on your face. It has like a very nice subtle glow to it while not being like too glowy. Like it still has like a little bit of like matteness to it, if that makes any sense. It's like the perfect little middle. And I'm in the shade Hint of Toast. It's medium with gold undertone. So I always go for the gold and like olive undertones. I use this literally the entire summer and it's really affordable. So you can't really go wrong with that. Next foundation I want to talk about is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. This is what I am wearing today. I am in the shade Golden Beige. I really, really love this foundation. Like I said, this is what I'm wearing today. I paired this with my Hourglass Vanish Stick foundation, which is literally, this is my ultimate combo. And I love it. I mean, just look, it looks flawless. Mind you, my skin is in a really good place right now, but you can still see that this foundation is really good. It says undetectable medium to full coverage, oil free. Whew. Sorry guys, I had to take a break. I am getting hot. All right, back to the makeup. I used to use this foundation all the time, you guys, and it's like an oldie but a goodie, and I totally forgot how much I loved it until I used it today, and I'm like, holy shit, this foundation is really freaking good. And I remember now why I was obsessed with it for so long. So it has really, really good coverage. As you can see, I only did like a pump on my face today and it went really, really far. Obviously, I started with this first and that really helped. But yes, it's the most beautiful coverage. The shade is perfect for me. The finish is, I would say, like, it's not totally sheer, but it's not totally matte. It has like a little bit of sheen to it, which is nice. It doesn't break up throughout the day. I mean, I know I'm gonna sound like I'm saying the same thing about all these foundations, but those are usually the things that I'm looking for in a foundation. So it's gonna sound a little repetitive, but I mean, that's what you want in a foundation. So really, really like this guy too. The next foundation I'm gonna talk about is a little bit more on the, is definitely more, actually not a little bit, it's way more on the luxury side, and it is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. I'm sure you guys have already heard about this foundation a ton. It's like really, really, really up there for foundations. It's one of my all-time favorite foundations, and it's what I reach for usually when I know I need my makeup to look good and like dewy and hydrated and glowy. I usually reach for this. I am in the shade number 6. I love this foundation. If you are someone who is like really oily, like in your teens, I would not recommend this for you. It is definitely luminous. I mean, that is the first word in this, in the title of the foundation. That being said, it definitely has the most beautiful radiance glow to it. It leaves your skin looking so just glowy and beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's one of my favorite foundations of all time. So, I mean, I think I already said that. The finish is just so glowy and beautiful. It makes your skin look so healthy. I use this a ton in the summertime as well. It is definitely medium coverage, but buildable. So it's not like the super full coverage, like heavy foundation. It's definitely more on the lightweight side. It doesn't break up, because normally my issue with foundations, and this is more like the matte, like full coverage foundations, this happens to me a lot, is that my makeup and foundation will start to break up on my chin, and it does not happen when I wear this foundation. It is definitely on the pricier side. I think it's like on the like 60 plus spectrum, but it's totally worth it. A little goes a really long way, and it lasts a pretty good couple months, I would say. I don't know, I use this a lot, so I run through it, but I really love that foundation. The next foundation I'm going to talk about is the Dior Backstage foundation. This is, oh my god, I'm gonna say this about every single foundation, aren't I? One of my all-time favorite foundations, and I mean, it is so good. I mean, it's gorgeous. I'm in the shade 2WO, which is my shade for when I am more on the tan side. Like, I could totally not wear this right now, as you could tell. It's so beautiful. It's full coverage. It is more on the matte side of a finish, but it's not totally mattifying. But it's like one of those foundations where it just looks like your skin, but way better. It gives me like Pat McGrath Sublime foundation vibes in that sense, where it just looks natural but gorgeous and perfected and like face tuned. Like, it just makes my skin look so smooth and perfected. Like, I don't know, it's gorgeous. And Dior, if you ask me, has one of the best foundation selections. Like, all of their foundations I love. There's not one that I've used that I did not like. I would recommend this if you have more oily skin, and I love it. I don't know what to say. The coverage is gorgeous, makes my skin look really smooth, makes my skin look healthy and natural and just gorgeous. That's all you want in foundation, right? And again, obviously it's Dior. It's a little bit more on the expensive side, but it's totally worth it, you guys, I promise. So since we are on Dior, I might as well go to the next foundation that's Dior, and it's the Forever Skin Glow foundation. I just recently discovered this foundation, and I'm telling you guys, I have not stopped using it. Today is the first day that I have not used it, and I used the Born This Way foundation instead. But this has been my go-to, especially because it's like one of the only foundations that matches my shade right now. I have this in 2WO, which is definitely more on the light side, because like I said, I haven't tanned in over a month. So your girl's a little pale these days, but it is just so good. The finish on this is beautiful. It gives you the most amazing glow. There's no like oiliness involved. You don't feel oily, you don't feel greasy, you just feel like really nice and hydrated. And their coverage is really good on this foundation. I mean, Dior always has amazing coverage, so like that's never like something that's questioned. This is a perfect foundation for bridal. I would say this one and the Giorgio Armani would definitely be something that I would recommend for a bride. But if you are someone who isn't afraid of a glowy foundation, you really need to try this. Even if you are oily, because I have oily skin, but I know how to like balance out the oiliness. I make sure to set my T-zone and wherever I get really oily with a lot of powder, and it just, that's like all you need, and it balances out the oiliness, but it still gives your face that like that beautiful radiance that just looks like so healthy, so dewy, and just and if you are someone who is really oily and you like a super matte finish, they also have this foundation in a matte formula. They have that as an option, which I'm not saying is one of my top 10 favorites, but they have that option for you. And I do really like this foundation. I'm just not gonna include it in the top 10 because it's not a foundation that I reach for all the time, because it is matte and I'm not a big matte foundation kind of person. But I do use this on days where I'm like feeling oily, or if I'm going somewhere really humid and I want it to be a little bit more on a matte side, I'll use this. And I posted this foundation on my Instagram and people kept asking me if it's good for oily skin. Like I said to them, I have oily skin and it works well for me because I balance it out with powder. But if you're someone who likes a totally matte finish on foundation, they have that matte version of this. So both really good, but my recommendation above all else is the Glow formula. So the last and final foundation that I have to talk about is the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear foundation. I just got into this foundation a couple months ago when Jaclyn Hill recommended it and said it's been like one of her favorite foundations lately. So, you know, anything she talks about I have to try, whether it's makeup or anything else under the sun, I'm gonna get it. And I'm in the shade Barcelona. This is my shade when I'm on the more tan side. Most of my foundations are foundations that I wear when I'm tan, because 9 times out of 10 I am tan. This foundation is gorgeous. It is definitely on the full coverage side, I would say, but it has a really gorgeous finish. Like, it has like a nice matteness to it, but it also has a little bit of a sheer radiance to it as well, so it's like that perfect balance. The coverage is incredible. I mean, I use like a pump and it covers my entire face and then some. Like, it is really good coverage. It wears really well throughout the day, works well with the other products I put. I'm trying to see what shade I'm in. Oh yeah, I said Barcelona, I already told you guys. This has a really beautiful finish, and at the end of my makeup I'm like, whoa, my skin looks bomb. So really love this foundation. That is it, you guys. That is all of my top 10 favorite foundations. I don't know what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something else. I definitely was not gonna say foundations. But yeah, that is my top 10 favorite foundations. I hope that was helpful. I hope you heard a couple foundations that you like and that you wanna try. And if you do try them, let me know in the comments down below which ones, what you think. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye everyone.